that under overtures from the minister and the minister's ministry. And in the face of that, where people are putting information and I dare say evidence in the public domain, Prime Minister knows nothing, Police Commissioner knows nothing, National Security Minister knows nothing. How many of you remember a TV program called Hogan's Heroes? Remember? Colonel Schultz? I see nothing. I hear nothing. I know nothing. That is the summary of the national security of Trinidad and Tobago. And then they continue to take you for fools. So they get a public officer to write a statement which came after a minister was banned from talking to the parliament, because the minister responsible told the country, I will tell the parliament what I don't know about it. Prime Minister said, no, you can't do that. We have to get a report. We will get a report. And our report will be from Mr. Hira. And one thing Mr. Hira report was very good at is not mentioning that there was any meeting between Minister Warner and the people who were saying that they were playing police. And of course, Mr. Hira tells us, look at us straight in our face and say, you know what? These people were not in any way associated with the police and the ministry. They were just passing. And they were going to get information about a drug plantation out in the east. And I took it upon myself to provide them with a line of cars and SUVs as and when required. So we have a senior person in national security who will provide motor vehicles from a source, a civilian source that just happens to exist with cars to hand out, to hand to these people, to go and look into criminal matters in eastern Trinidad, people who he warned off not to associate themselves or their names with the ministry. Now, why is this government and its agents taking us all for fools? And then, having banned the minister from talking to the parliament, having prepared this cock and bull story, the Prime Minister herself comes to the parliament and reads her own version of how she sees things. She came back from Haiti, 17 people killed in 10 days. And she says, it appears as though there's a spike in the crime. This is the same lady who declared a state of emergency from August to December when they killed 7 persons in 4 days. Now you have 17 people killed in 10 days. It appears as though there's a spike in crime. And then in the same statement, as if to rub salt in our eyes, she says, I have been advised that serious crime is going down, only the murder's going up. And that was 2 days after the office of the leader of the opposition read out for the country how burglary is gone up, robbery is gone up, rape gone up, incest gone up. I mean, what's going on here? And then, in the report that she receives from Mr. Hira tells her in that report and tells us that he knows, I think he said he himself went to the, he said that Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mervyn Richardson, here it is, not me, not you, not Constable, so and so, Deputy Commissioner went to the acting commissioner to get him to precept 45 people. And the commissioner said, no, And on the basis of that, the commissioner knows nothing about this Cordner army. Now I would like to know, and I would like to have been a fly on the wall, when Deputy Commissioner Richardson came to talk to Acting Commissioner Williams, I would have wanted to hear what the conversation was in seeking to get him to agree to precept 45 people. He asked him what for. He asked him who these people are. But what we know, he didn't do it. But even if you didn't do it, you're not interested that somebody else might be doing something that's of concern to you as Commissioner of Police. And then next thing we hear in Cordner telling us every day what they've been doing, to whom and for whom. And then the Prime Minister gets that report and sees the Commissioner's name in there, who at best is a witness. At best he is a witness. And she puts him in charge of the investigation. Now, people of Trinidad and Tobago, what do you make of that? First, she shut down the minister from talking to the parliament. I could tell you, if this had happened in England, the day after the first story came out in The Guardian, the minister would have been speaking in the parliament, taking responsibility, and he would have been out of office. In England, in New Zealand, in Canada. But in Trinidad and Tobago, you could wait for 3 weeks under prime ministerial direction to get a hero report and give it to the Commissioner of Police, who himself has questions to answer. What is happening in Trinidad and Tobago? And the Prime Minister thinks that's the end of the matter, because it is now going to be lined up behind Mr. Williams' investigation of the Warner Hyatt bribery scandal. He must take his turn, he's behind there. Mr. Hines wrote to Commissioner Williams asking him what is happening with that investigation. He said, I will report on it in due course. He wrote him back asking him, what does due course means? He answered by not answering. Due course means no answer. And now he has another report, but on this occasion, this is a serious matter, where there are people who on their own admission was playing police. That is an offense. And by information they're trying to provide to you, the people, they were working for the Ministry of National Security. It is only when payment became an issue. It is only when payment became an issue that this matter came to your attention. Had they been able to pay them under the table as they apparently had intended to do, you would never have known the details of it until it was too late. Because you can't trust this government, you can't trust the minister, you can't trust the Prime Minister. You just have to wait until someday when there's somebody else in office and breathe out and say, thank God we've made it. And then I'm in the opposition office, having seen what happened here in the last 2.5 years, where the Prime Minister led the charge to dismantle the national security system. I received a letter and I shared it with you. I shared it with you in Tunapuna last week, where a mid-rank, and I was very careful not to identify the officer. I spoke about what the officer wrote to the Prime Minister, and to the letter, everything he put in there as a recommendation was done under the Prime Minister's stewardship and tutelage. I think as opposition leader, I had to share that with you. And guess what? Within 24 hours, I got a pre-action protocol giving me 21 days to respond to a certain senior superintendent, C. Passad, I think Passad is his name or something. He has taken ownership of what I said in Tunapuna. He comes forward and says, me. And I'm suing you for saying it's me. And in the pre-action protocol, the main body of it is that he is taking issue with me for being callous, reckless, irresponsible, and malicious to expose, and now hear it, to expose into Napuna confidential national security information. And of course, I am to be sued, having been chastised as I just described, but it doesn't occur to him, or who he supports or represents, that the 30 people who are named in that letter, who have been fired from their jobs because they were identified as supporters of the P.N.M, they had their fundamental rights under the Constitution violated. It doesn't occur to him that that is an issue. He identified them as being loyal to the government. Well, I am proud to know that under P.N.M government, public servants in the National Security Department are loyal to the government of the day. Because any country that has public servants in national security who are not loyal to the government of the day, then crapo smoke your pipe. And of course, somehow, he who wrote it or whoever wrote it knew how they voted. And I want to ask this superintendent tonight, have you ever voted in this country? And if you did, on the basis of the vote that you cast, which I presume is not a spoiled vote, are you now to be losing your job because you vote for some political party, maybe P.N.M, COP, UNC, NJAHU? So it's good for you to vote for somebody and hold on to your job. But you could pretend to know how somebody else voted and they must lose their job. And I get a pre-action protocol. Tonight, I have no money to pay for this. I know you're going to pay for it. Because I'm defending you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want